Hey everyone, James here from TDB, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today I am going to be talking about some Xiaguan tea, again from Tim and Mike as well. So thank you to Tim and Mike for sending in these teas. I went through all the reference teas that they sent last time, or at least a very good chunk of them, and wanted to do some more. So yeah, we had the artistic font recently, and we're going to be doing some more Xiaguan. This was the XY8853. And I have seen this cake accidentally mislabeled by a lot of people as 8653 because you're so used to seeing those numbers. So this is actually different. And this is kind of one of those deals, sort of like Feitai, FT, where it's a company basically making like kind of this sub-company making something kind of under the Xiaguan level. So it's not kind of your very, very standard Xiaguan production, different company coming in and doing stuff. So as a result, we would look for it to be a little bit different. FT, Feitai, sort of has a reputation for being a little bit softer. I don't really know XY's reputation. They certainly make less cakes than others, but they do have a 8853 from, I think, around 2009, 2010, 2011. I want to say it's 2010, but I'm not totally sure. And that cake, I have seen its price rise over the course of the years. This is one that I've also seen around, and to be honest, I don't remember if I've tried this tea. There is one tea that is very commonly mixed up with this. They're both big, chunky cakes, 450 grams, so I do get a little bit confused myself on that, but this is 8853, not to be confused with 8653. And it really is a treat to try these teas kind of from the turn of the century here. Like the pu'er industry during this time was changing very, very rapidly. Production was ramping up and stuff like that. And as a result, these cakes tend to be a little more scarce, and also the price tends to be a little higher. And in my opinion, the quality also tends to be a little bit higher too. So it's really, while the value proposition is not always there, I actually don't know what the cost of this cake is. As far as like comparing it versus stuff that's even just 4 or 5 years younger, these do tend to be a lot more expensive. They do often represent something quality-wise that's a little bit better too, even when we're talking within kind of the same factory, Xiaguan, Dai, that sort of thing too. So yeah, thank you, Tim, and I'm going to quit babbling and get on to this tea. I've already made steep number 3, and I'm going to make steep number 4. This water was just boiled right before I hit record. So I think it should still be good, just so this can cool down a little bit while I drink steep number 3. And really, this first couple steeps, this episode and a lot of these kind of Xiaguan tea episodes do a good job of kind of representing why I don't like to bring on the first couple, because sometimes they're just a little bit more uneven and it takes a little bit to get these teas going. Part of it is the age, part of it's the compression. I really like to, you shouldn't judge a tea, certainly teas like this, too much off of the first 1 or 2 steeps. These third and fourth for me are very likely going to be much stronger. So a very, very sweet menthol pine aroma. I would say that XY, this tea tastes very much Xiaguan-ish. It's not exactly the same as 8653, but it is kind of, we're trying about the same realm of kind of flavors and stuff like that. I am happy to be there because I do like Xiaguan Factory, even if they are number 2 to Dai for me. Sorry to the Crane Gang. Cheers, guys. Yeah, very nice and full compared to the first couple steeps too. Kind of very old, woody, old furniture vibes to this. You can definitely tell this is pu'er, but I would say the bitterness is very, very mild at here. Kind of like this nice, kind of protracted sweetness going on in the front of the mouth too. Yeah, that's tasty. And I would say this is kind of entering a phase where it's starting to be drinkable. Will this tea be better in 5 years? Probably. But I do find it to be fairly approachable now. And interestingly, I did rewatch the 8653 1999 episode, and I had that tea yesterday too, just for comparison's sake. And that tea has actually, it was in a much more drinkable state yesterday than it was when I filmed earlier in 2022. So interesting. You sometimes you just can't predict when these teas are going to turn a corner, or maybe one session is just a little bit different than the others. So yeah, I was really enjoying that tea yesterday when I had it, and it's actually I would say it's similar but different to this tea. There's a lot of similarities to it, and I would say those two are perhaps closer together than something like the 2001 8653 is to the 1999 8653. They're both very sweet. The bitterness for both is quite mild, interestingly very mild, and really getting to that point where it's sort of like what are you waiting for to some extent, because I don't think it's going to change too much over the course of a few years. But of course, it could change a little bit at least. Cheers. So good sort of thickness to this. Another thing I did note for both the 99, 8653 and this tea is that both don't have the very, very resinous, dense quality that a lot of dye do, but also a lot of Xiaguan that comes a little bit later. So I do wonder if there's a little bit going on kind of in this era here that makes it seem like a little simpler, a little cleaner, but also a little bit less resinous, a little bit less minerals going on. You still do get a bit of that here, but I would say it's much less pronounced than it is for some of the later Xiaguan productions or some of the dye ones too. It's not necessarily a pro or a criticism of this tea, just a comment that, just sort of a note that did catch my eye. So yeah, I'd say this tea is not quite as good as that 1999 8653. The main difference for me, at least, is kind of the intensity of the aftertaste and stuff like that, which for me on the 99 Iron 8653 was very, very immediate and fast and more intense than this tea. This tea has it too, and I'd say that is a marker that does make it stand out from Xiaguan that comes a little bit later. You can just tell the material is just better. I mean, and the amount of time that the aftertaste sort of stays with you is just a little bit longer, a little bit more intense. So I do really enjoy that part of the tea for sure. Yeah, I guess this tea, filming this 2023, so 22 years old. So graduating from college. You can tell that there's still a fair amount of stuff still in these leaves, so I'll probably get quite a few more steeps out of this. Yeah, so let's see, what else did I have on kind of this tea? Yeah, so I think this tea would be a really interesting one for people that haven't tried Xiaguan that's older than 2003, 2004, even compared to sort of that set of 5 cakes. I do think there's a bit of an era difference going on, where you kind of have like this time that's sort of in between like the super old school era where we're kind of in the 90s and 80s. They're not even keeping track of like necessarily the years of teas, so that you see like a lot of 1990s yellow mark, red mark, whatever, and now we're kind of paying attention to the years. So it's sort of in this weird transitory period. I think you start to look forward to like 2007, 2008, and the tea is getting produced in much, much higher quantity, which is good in the sense that you can buy stuff for a lot cheaper, but there are definitely some quality differences as well. Yeah, so I'm just sitting here kind of enjoying the tea aftertaste. I would say the kind of that resin quality, and another thing that sort of I associated with it too is sort of like that powdery texture. Don't get a lot of that here. For me, at least, the FT4 Pink, the 2006, that's one that I do get a lot of it. But I do get that taste on, some boutique teas as well as some factory teas. Not a lot in this one. Yeah, good body on this too. It's just a very well-rounded tea. So for me at least, this would be probably equivalent to the 2003, 2004 Xiaguan Red Mark, which is kind of an atypical Xiaguan. I'd say almost this is a little bit more typical of your standard Xiaguan taste than that tea. So I will give this a 6.8 rating. I think it's a damn solid tea. So thank you to Tim and Mike for sharing this with me. I had one session a couple days ago just to kind of get a feel for the tea, and now I wanted to kind of feature it here. So yeah, this is a tea that I don't know, it's probably difficult to find available, but I do always feel like those big chunkier cakes tend to be better value for the dollar. So something to just keep in mind. I'm a big supporter of the dollar per gram calculators. So yeah, this 450 gram cake might be, you might be able to find a good deal out there. Who knows? So yeah, it's not quite the level of the 998653, which is kind of my favorite of this specific era, but probably also the most acclaimed, so that's no surprise there. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Let me know what you would like to see. Let me know if you've tried this tea or a different 8853. I'm pretty sure I've had the one that's younger. I don't remember it very well. I do think it was a little bit more different from your standard Xiaguans here. I think this tea, if I had this in a blind taste, I would pretty clearly peg it as Xiaguan. It has that pine menthol thing going on that I think is kind of very, very characteristic of that brand. Whereas the 8853, I don't think I found it to be too similar to 8653, but who knows? It's been a while. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to continue to enjoy this tea. I will see you all next time. Cheers.